Geological provinces are structures of the ocean floor made up by the processes of plate tectonics. Plate tectonics is the shifting and moving of plates that crash together and are pulled apart.
Continental margins are the boundaries between the continental crust and the ocean crust. They consist of the continental shelf, the continental slope, and the continental rise.
The continental margins are made up of the shelf, the slope, and the rise. The shelf, which is gradually sloping, is the shallowest part of the continental margin.
The slope is much steeper, and it channels sediments from the continental shelf to the deep sea floor.
And then the rise is at the base of the slope, and it's formed by sediments building up on the seafloor. That's why it's less steep than the slope.
Active margins are areas with a large amount of plate tectonic processes occurring. These can include trenches, earthquakes, and volcanoes.
There are also passive margins, and unlike the active margins, there is little to no movement at these passive margins. Because of the lack of movement, there's a buildup of sediment, which is the reason behind the thickness of a passive margin.
Deep ocean basins are made up of abyssal plains and abyssal hills. The deep sea floor makes up the abyssal plain. It has a very gentle slope of less than 1 degree towards the mid-ocean ridge. Even though this is relatively flat, it has low abyssal hills, which are plateaus that rise above other features.
Deep ocean basins also contain underwater volcanic islands called seamounts. One of the seamounts is called a guyout, and that used to be an island because it was above the water, but eventually wore down to be a few hundred meters under the water, so it's no longer an island.
Mid-ocean ridges are continuous change of volcanoes that are found along the sea floor. They were first discovered by sonars.
On the ocean floor, you can also find hydrothermal vents. They tend to be around the mid-ocean ridge. At these vents, there's smoke coming out that can either be black or white, and that's why they are called black smokers or white smokers. This hot air coming out is usually made up of different liquids that are made of metals, and it creates a stream that attracts certain water life.
Thanks for listening!